Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a great day. The time has finally come. In this video we will try to rescale the Frieza arc's power levels. In case you haven't seen the previous videos, I recommend you to at least watch the Saiyan arc's video, so you have a good idea where are we at with the power levels so far. So let's start right away from where we left off last video, just after Vegeta defeat on Earth. Since Piccolo died, our heroes decided to go to the planet Namek with the purpose to revive everyone that died against the Saiyans. Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma went together to planet Namek while Goku stayed on Earth healing, but after recovering, he goes to Namek too. Before anything, we gotta talk about a very important concept introduced during the Namek arc, which is the Saiyan Zenkai, also just called Saiyan power. If you don't know what it is, basically, it's a biological Saiyan trait that increases their power every time they survive severe mortal injuries or also after they survive a very prolonged and hard battle. The amount of power that it increases seems to be mostly random, or in other words, it depends of whatever the plot requires. Although, I don't think it is necessarily an unbelievable thing to happen, since the randomness can be attributed to it just being a genetic mutation, similar to how evolution works in real life. So that would be a decent explanation as to why the Saiyan power increase is mostly random. But still, I would like to add one extra important detail to the Zenkai trait. So, the Saiyan Zenkai is very present during the Namek arc, especially with Vegeta, who abused the heck out of it, but we are led to believe it always has been present implicitly from the beginning, tying it up with Goku's increase of power, especially during the OG Dragon Ball. But after the Frieza arc, the Saiyan Zenkais disappeared for the most part, only making somewhat of a comeback in Dragon Ball Super. A good explanation for this, and also, a good way to avoid any further power creeping by the Saiyan, in their base form at least, is that the Zenkai biologic purpose is to push the Saiyan faster to the base power threshold, necessary to achieve the Super Saiyan transformation. Now, this doesn't mean that once reaching the required base power, the Saiyan can easily transform to Super Saiyan. It only means that they can now potentially transform if the other necessary conditions are also met. Once the base threshold of power is reached, the Zenkai's increase becomes very low in comparison to before, explaining why they seem to disappear from the story. With that in mind, we can finally start addressing the power level of Goku after recovering from the fight against Vegeta during the Saiyan arc. As we stated last video, Goku previously had a power level of 23, but after the post-Vegeta fight Zenkai, he gained a power level of 24, possessing a strength similar to the Saiyan Prince. In the other hand, Vegeta himself also increased his power due to a Zenkai after fighting Goku and the rest, going from a power of 24 to 25. With his newfound strength, the Prince, once reaching Namek, fights another elite soldier from the Frieza army, Kiwi, who was stated to have a similar power level as the Saiyan before his last Zenkai. Due to the difference of power and, more importantly, skill, Vegeta manages to kill Kiwi pretty easily. The next opponent of Vegeta is another elite soldier, Dodoria, who in the original story was quite a bit weaker than Vegeta after the Zenkai boost, but in this reworking, I'll leave the Prince being only slightly stronger than Dodoria, but due to the Saiyan participating in a lot more intense combat situations, he outskills her easily, killing Dodoria without mercy. Clearly showing that raw power is not the only factor when fighting someone with a similar strength. After disposing of Dodoria, Vegeta confronts her partner, Zarbon, who also have a similar power level. But he has a secret true form that he hides from everyone due to being too ugly or something. Upon transforming, Zarbon's power also increases to 25. Vegeta is caught by surprise not only by the hideous appearance of Zarbon, but also by his power. Without any hesitation, Zarbon takes advantage of the element of surprise and headbutts Vegeta's head with extreme strength, leaving the Saiyan highly disoriented for the rest of the fight. Still, Vegeta is able to counterattack somewhat successfully, but is not enough. Zarbon overpowers him and finish him off for good, launching the Prince straight to the ground at very high speed. Vegeta is badly defeated and left for dead by Zarbon. Later, Zarbon is ordered by Frieza to find Vegeta again. Due to the Saiyan's grave injuries, he is sent to a healing machine to recover from his injuries, so he can be interrogated later. Naturally, Vegeta gets another Zenkai after healing, reaching a power level of 25, similar to Zarbon's. But during their second confrontation, the situation was reversed from the first fight. Vegeta gets the upper hand very fast, even using cheese tactics like tossing sand to Zarbon's eyes. Yeah, he actually did that. Despite being somewhat equal in power, Vegeta once again came on top due to skills and experience, blowing up Zarbon from inside out. After all this fighting, Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan were almost able to collect the 7 Dragon Balls, but unfortunately for them, they were surrounded by the strongest fighters from the entire Frieza army, except for the Emperor himself, the powerful Ginyu force. Since we already rated Vegeta's power during this fight, we gotta continue with Krillin and Gohan. After Krillin's hidden potential was unlocked by Guru, his power level went from 20 to 24, a pretty huge increase, and this was mostly thanks to the highly effective training done by Kami-sama. In the other hand, after Gohan's hidden potential was unlocked by Guru, his power level went from 20 to 25. This is not including if Gohan is enraged. Guldo is considered the weakest member of the Ginyu force, and if we exclude his psychic powers, then yeah, he is by far the weakest, ranking him around the power level of 22, which would be around the strength of Raditz. But if we include the mental abilities of Guldo as part of his power level, then I would like to rank him at around 25. After all, his psychic powers had the upper hand against Gohan and Krillin, both fighters with a power level of 24 and 25 respectively, and also, Guldo was killed due to Vegeta backstab. As a side note, I would like to clarify something about the original story, regarding the power levels of Krillin and Gohan after their potential was unlocked. Since there are a lot of ambiguity, as if their power-up was gradual over time or not, especially considering a comment that Vegeta did regarding this, saying that Gohan and Krillin's power has been steadily increasing during all the fights in Namek. This statement can be interpreted in many ways, so to avoid any confusion, we will just say that the power-up from the hidden potential is instant and not gradual. With that out of the way, the Guldo fight goes essentially the same as in the original story, except this time, Guldo manages to tire out Gohan and Krillin a lot more due to his psychic powers, decreasing their strength and stamina for their next fight as a result. Following Guldo's death, Recoome joins the fray and prepares to fight Vegeta one-on-one. Not without before taunting both Krillin and Gohan to help the prince if they wanted to. Recoome's power level would be 25, although still stronger than Vegeta by a few decimals. Let's say that the Saiyan's level is around 25.1. And Recoome's is around 25.5, which could easily be interpreted as about 40% stronger than Vegeta. The fight starts with Vegeta immediately rushing in, doing a combo on Recoome and finishing with a very powerful energy blast, which by the way, it looks awfully similar to the final flash. Vegeta clearly used almost everything behind his attacks. After all, even if that somehow killed Recoome, there are 2 other Ginyu Force members waiting to fight. Because of this, Vegeta still saved some energy just in case. Unfortunately for the prince, Recoome was able to tank all the damage. In the story, it was stated that he hardly took any damage, but I would like to add an extra detail about this and state that Recoome's specialty is physical endurance. In other words, he is very good at using his ki to specifically increase his endurance to levels beyond to what would be possible for other fighters with a similar power level. I find this concept to have a lot of potential, and I am pretty sure it was never stated in the story if this is actually the case, at least not explicitly. But we kinda can see a bit of this specialization thing with the Ginyu Force. Let me explain. We can see with Guldo that he sacrifices most of his physical stats for more psychic power. Recoome maybe sacrifices agility and speed in exchange for more endurance. Berter does something similar, sacrificing endurance or physical strength for more speed. Finally, Jesse uses his power in a balanced way. There are also other things that are not really well explored in the story, such as how much the mental state and current emotions of a character influences their key power and overall performance in combat. I hope in the future, these concepts are more used in the story. It would not just help with the power creeping, but also, it gives the character's fighting style and personality a lot more importance, plus, it would make discussions a lot more interesting too. Now, going back to the main topic. Recoome is able to endure the rush attack from Vegeta and starts beating him up. The prince, despite being worn out, is still able to hold his own for a while, but the giant eventually overpowers him. Before he is able to finish him off, Krillin attacks Recoome during a critical moment while Gohan saves Vegeta from the attack. Despite his injuries, Recoome is still able to recover, showing off his extraordinary tankiness. Recoome surprises Krillin and defeats him with a single powerful attack to a critical spot. The only one left to fight the giant is Gohan, who is still partially worn out from the battle against Guldo and is also intimidated by the extremely resilient Recoome. Despite that, Goku's son fights valiantly, the end result doesn't change, and Gohan is left in a near-death state, defeated by Recoome. Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan are all about to die by the hands of Recoome, but thankfully for them, Goku is able to finally land to Namek and with extreme speed, saves them from certain death. As we said earlier in the video, after the fight against Vegeta, Goku had a power level of 24, but thanks to training with the gravity machine, while recovering from a couple of near-death states, his strength increases to a power level of 26. After giving Senzu beans to his friends and to Vegeta, Goku proceeds to humiliate a highly confident and also tired Recoome, defeating him after he left himself vulnerable to an attack with a single, powerful strike to a critical spot. Due to Jesse and Berta relying too much on their scouts, they still believe that Goku is weaker than them, despite him defeating Recoome with a single attack, believing that it was just luck from part of the Saiyan, since Recoome was already tired from his previous fights. Both Ginyu Force members surround Goku and start attacking, but he is able to block them and mocks them, saying that they keep leaving themselves vulnerable due to their overconfidence. Jesse and Berta became more and more frustrated during the fight, being incapable of maintaining their composure. Because of this, they weren't fighting in optimal conditions. This wasn't just a case of power difference, but also of skill and discipline. Goku ends up beating Berta with ease, forcing Jesse to escape, hoping that his captain, Ginyu, is able to beat Goku. Doesn't take too long for Ginyu to catch up to our heroes again, and a new confrontation begins between Goku and the captain. Ginyu have a power level of 26 similar to Goku, but still a few decimals higher. Both warriors fight momentarily, and after a while, Goku decides to show off his Kaioken. By just using his limited Kaioken, Goku is able to reach a power level of 27, surpassing Ginyu. During this exact moment, the captain decides to steal the Saiyan's body, which he does successfully. At the same time this fight occurs, Frieza is looking for Guru, but is stopped by the Namekian warrior, Nail. Nail power level is around 25, similar to the Ginyu Force members. And Frieza, in his first form, has a power level of 27, being stronger than Ginyu by a few decimals. With such a difference of power, Nail had no chance against the Emperor, and is defeated rather quickly. Going back to Ginyu, after he stole Goku's body, his power level dropped dramatically, due to not being able to control it properly, having a strength around 24, weaker than Krillin. Vegeta power after the Zenkai from the Recoome fight increases once again, reaching a level of 26.5. With this newfound strength, Vegeta disposes of a scared Jesse pretty easily. Gohan also have a Zenkai boost from the Recoome fight, increasing his power to 26. Once Ginyu realized he couldn't control Goku's body properly, he decides to try stealing Vegeta's body, but his plan is ruined by Goku, who gets back his body, although really badly injured due to Vegeta. Because of this, Goku uses a healing machine to recover. After all these events, Gohan and Krillin were able to use the Dragon Balls, and proceeds to revive Piccolo, also teleporting him to Namek. Frieza, infuriated from losing his chance to wish for immortality, finally catches up to Vegeta and the others. The final battle begins. With a power level of 27, Frieza is still stronger than our heroes, but Vegeta believes it is possible to defeat him if the three of them fight together. After a short exchange, Vegeta was able to hold off Frieza, although clearly struggling. Despite this, the prince is well aware that the Emperor possesses a transformation and tells him to show his true form already. Consequently, Frieza transformed to his second form and increases his power from 27 to 27.5. So yeah, it is not a huge power-up, but feels like a necessary change to keep the power creep down. To be honest, I feel like the second, and especially third transformation of Frieza are a bit unnecessary. I suppose it helps to increase the tension and the feeling of hopelessness during the fight, but it is not something that it couldn't have been done by just using Frieza's second form. The third transformation could have been removed from the story, and it wouldn't change it drastically. In any case, I still like all of them, so the easiest solution is to decrease the power-up of both forms. With a new increase of power and a terrorific appearance, Frieza intimidates and scares his opponents, especially after showing off his destructive power. Frieza rushes in and stabs Krillin. Upon seeing this, Gohan enters a frenzy of rage, increasing his power to more than 27, almost equal to Frieza. Enraged, he surprises the Emperor and is able to land many attacks. But unfortunately, Frieza's second form is specialized in increasing his endurance, resulting in mostly minor injuries. After the attack, Gohan's temporary rage boost finishes. The tyrant proves to be too powerful and proceeds to badly damage Gohan, leaving him close to dead, but before it's too late, Piccolo is finally able to catch up. After dying against Nappa, Piccolo trained for some time with King Kai alongside Tien and the others, allowing the Namekian to increase his power. Before we continue, there is a bit of an issue with Piccolo's power during this arc that we need to address. In the original story, it is implied that Piccolo became way stronger during the very short period of time training with King Kai, otherwise, he wouldn't have been so confident about helping out during the Frieza fight, but becoming so strong in such a short time, it's just not feasible. As a matter of fact, if Piccolo didn't absorb Nail, he wouldn't have been of any help whatsoever against Frieza. So considering this, a good small change to the story would have been making Piccolo unconsciously feel the need to go to Namek, which he would just explain, briefly and vaguely, as someone calling him from there. Once arriving to Namek and finding Nail, the dying warrior tells Piccolo that it was him who was calling for any Namekian warrior alive, so they could fuse and defeat Frieza. I think that can be an effective solution, plus it adds a bit more of mystery to the Namekian lore. Going back to ranking Piccolo's power after training with King Kai, I rank him at around 24 of power at most. After fusing with Nail, he reaches a level of 28. In the original story, both Piccolo and Frieza's second form are about equal in power, but I will be making some changes. Starting by making Piccolo surpass the Emperor in his second form in power by a few decimals. Continuing with the battle, Piccolo have the upper hand over Frieza, although with his great endurance, the damage is minimized decently well. By taking advantage of his high resistance, Frieza prioritizes offense over defense and is able to successfully damage Piccolo with a powerful combo. Although Piccolo's power has been slightly worn off during the fight, Frieza has been taking more damage in comparison. Piccolo finally decides to fight seriously and takes off his heavy clothes, and upon seeing this, Frieza realizes that his second form won't be enough and tells Piccolo and the others that he still have 2 transformations left. Everyone feels demoralized after such revelations, and Frieza proceeds to transform once again. Frieza's third form have a power level of 28 and his endurance specialization changes to speed increase instead. Also, every minor injuries he received from Piccolo has been healed after transforming. Despite Piccolo also having a power of 28, his strength and stamina has been partially worn off already, and his mental state has been negatively impacted too. Adding all of those circumstances, including Frieza's speed surpassing Piccolo's, the result is the Namekian being overpowered rather quickly from multiple beam attacks. Gohan, who was healed by Denda, increases his power once again through a Zenkai from 26 to 27. And by being enraged, his power increases to 28 temporarily. Gohan proceeds to attack Frieza with a full-powered energy blast, which if the Emperor didn't manage to deflect, he could have been badly injured or worse. This time, Frieza won't take any chances and decides to transform to his final and true form. Meanwhile, Vegeta asks Krillin to almost kill him, that way he can increase his power again after being healed. After finally reaching his final form, Frieza have a power level of over 30, which makes him the first fighter that I rank into tier 30. In Frieza's honor, I named this category as Intergalactic Emperor, or if you like it more, Intergalactic Force. Vegeta gets a new Zenkai boost and his power increases to level 28, surpassing Frieza's third form by a few decimals, but obviously Vegeta is no match against the true form of the Emperor. Frieza humiliates and kills Vegeta, but before dying, the prince begs Goku to defeat the Emperor, kickstarting the final battle of the Namek arc. Thanks to the healing machine, Goku gets his final, substantial power-up through a Zenkai, reaching a level of 28.5, slightly stronger than Vegeta. And also, finally reaching the required threshold of power to transform into the Super Saiyan form. Goku and Frieza's battle goes basically the same as in the original story. Despite becoming so powerful, Goku is still no match for final form Frieza, who is mostly playing around. Not even the limited Kaioken, with a power level of 29, is able to damage Frieza in any substantial way. With no choice left, Goku uses a full-powered attack, while using the maximum Kaioken, reaching temporarily a power level over 30. The attack was dangerous even for Frieza, who had to use very close to his full power to deflect the Saiyan's attack. The maximum Kaioken wasn't enough to defeat Frieza, and Goku knows he can't use the technique once again without completely depleting any energy left. The only option left is to use the Spirit Bomb, which Goku manages to successfully use against Frieza, nearly killing him. But once again, he proved to be too resilient, although this time his energies also worn out to some extent. After revealing himself once again, Frieza attacks Piccolo and kills Krillin. And we all know what happened next. Goku, in his Super Saiyan form, reaches a power level of 31.5. And manages to surpass a suppressed final form Frieza. Naturally, the Emperor can't be holding back anymore against the Super Saiyan, so he goes into his full-powered state, which he can't maintain properly for long periods of time, but it is enough to rank Frieza with a power level almost identical as Goku's. Obviously, since Frieza hasn't mastered his full power, he can't maintain that level for longer than Goku does, so he is ultimately defeated and almost killed by the legendary Super Saiyan. Before finishing with the video, we have one interesting character left to rank. The Nameless Namekian, or as we are going to call him, the original Piccolo. In case you don't know who I am talking about, I am basically referring to Kami-sama and King Piccolo before they split into two. So in terms of power level, we can only make assumptions about how powerful the original Piccolo was, since there only has been a few mentions about his power during the Frieza arc. The first mention was by Guru, stating that Piccolo, being a prodigy from the Dragon Clan, could have been only killed by a Super Saiyan. Another mention to the power of the original Piccolo is by Nail, saying that Piccolo can surpass Frieza's power if he merged again with Kami-sama. Although, most likely, Nail was referring just to first form Frieza. But another possible good piece of evidence is that after Piccolo merged with Kami-sama during the Cell arc, he was able to surpass the power of a Super Saiyan by a large margin. So, maybe it was always intended for the original Piccolo to be at least somewhat equal to a Frieza or a Namek arc Super Saiyan Goku. My head says that the power of the original Piccolo was below than Frieza full power, but my heart tells me they are equal. Either way, it doesn't really affect the plot at all, and at the end of the day, this whole series of videos is just for fun. So, I will just rank the original Piccolo to rank 30. And with that, we are finally done with the Frieza arc. It has been a long way to get here, and we still have a lot to cover in the future. The final result so far seems good enough. For instance, the power levels seems to fit pretty well in comparison to the canon version, although there are some characters with a power level too close to each other, but it was really inevitable. And more importantly, we didn't make any major change to the plot. Plus, we added more depth to the fights, without falling into the trap of only considering the power levels and not any other factor such as skill and mentality. If you have come this far, let me thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Even though I'm still learning, I put a lot of effort into them, but it makes it worth it to know that at least one person enjoys them. Also, I know some people don't enjoy the AI voice, but since I am still insecure about myself, for now this is the best I can do, but I am sure one day I'll be able to use my own persona. With that being said, I hope you are having a great day, and if not, I'm sure it will get better eventually. Goodbye and see you next time. Smiley face.